So I just picked up my first deer in, God, I want to say 6-7 years. I think the last deer I killed was I remember dragging her out, and I remember exactly. I mean, I don't want to sound crass and weird, but I don't remember every single deer that I've killed. I don't remember every squirrel I've killed. I don't remember every fish I've caught. I remember some of the big ones. I remember some of the more involved tales, mostly because of the stories around them. I honestly don't remember if I was in a tree with her, because she was just a little deer. Because I remember I only got one bag of meat, and I think I only paid $70, 65, may have been $65, because she was tiny. And I remember walking out of the woods, and this group of people was walking through with these Britneys, and I was fascinated with the dogs, and they were fascinated with my deer. It was neat. It was a good couple minute interaction. But I remember throwing it in the Jeep, because at the time I was experimenting with not cutting out the butthole for whatever reason. I can't remember the reasoning behind it, because I had she was a good clean dress, and I zip tied the rectum inside the cavity. Can't remember why, but then when you take it to the processor, they require that the anus is removed for whatever reason. So I remember sitting in the Jeep, pulling out my knife and doing that. And it was after that, I didn't have my butthole knife then. I think it was because I was dating Shannon at the time. Can't remember if I was living with Shannon. So, and then the following year, I got, we were at Caesars. We were at a flea market, and I picked up an old, just a case trapper's knife, and I didn't know what it was called or whatever. I'm pretty sure it was an old melon knife that I was using for a butthole knife. It was real long, and the tip, it had like a clip point tip, but somebody had filed it and ground it down to where it was like a spear point tip. So it was real long. So you can get in and you can cut around the butthole and pull the anus out. So I was looking for a butthole knife. So that trapper's knife, and I wasn't really that familiar with the knives. I just pulled one out, and I'm like, that would be perfect, because the trapper knife has this, it's not a sheep's foot, it's like a chisel point blade that can be sharpened, and it's not pointy, so it's not going to get hung up on everything, but It's very sharp. So I was like, oh, that's what I need to get. So she was like, oh, okay, well, happy Valentine's Day. So she bought it for me. I was like, oh, that's cool. So I got a butthole knife for Valentine's Day. So I remember I was in the Jeep because I was hauling it up into the Jeep. I definitely remember being in the Jeep. So that was 6+ years ago, because I had the Jeep when I was working at I had the Jeep when I was working at LPM. But I also distinctly remember having a conversation with my supervisor. He said something. I said, I made the comment like, I've already killed once this week. Don't, something like, oh, did you get a deer? Yeah, I got one. No, you didn't. So I showed you pictures. Like, yeah, well, I'm a bow hunter, and it's bow season. I want to say it was this time, it was bird season. I was in a tree because I was coming out of my area. Anyway, it's been 6 to 8 years since I have killed a deer. So here I am. My first sit of the year, I got a deer. Medium-sized doe. It's in an area that I had just walked on. Decided, I was out squirrel hunting. Decided that I was going to make it a deer spot the next day because I wanted it to produce, and it did. It didn't happen exactly the way I thought it was going to, but it rarely does. But as far as practice and getting in the tree, being quiet, maintaining comfort, because I was in the tree from noon, well before noon. It was probably 11 o'clock, 11:30 by the time I got set to 6:30 when I climbed down, because I shot her right about 6:15. I know I had about an hour of light left when she walked in, and she walked in with a yearling that I had jumped up the day before. And I think that yearling was still hanging out there. I think it was recently separated from its mother. Where a yearling will, I've seen this a couple times. I've taken a couple deer that way. Where I think a yearling will, if it's separated from its mother, it will hang out in the last area that it was with her, usually until another group comes through, and it just kind of hangs out with that herd. So that's what I was thinking was going on with her, because I jumped, or it was a yearling. It could have been a button bug. I jumped a tiny deer the day before, and it jumped away. And then I walked up, and I think it went up and circled around. And I was shooting at a squirrel, realized that the ammo I was using was garbage. So I was just plinking around with that. I shot like 3 or 4 times and looked up, just looking at the squirrel, looking what I was shooting at, looking down. I looked up, looked over, and was like, oh, well, there's a deer watching what the fuck I'm doing. So I watched her for a little bit. She bounded off and then came right back. She didn't know what to think. She didn't know what to do. She didn't know what to, she didn't have really, she had the instinct to stomp, and she blew a couple times, but turned around and came right back. So she was really out of her element. So I thought I could come back the next day, and honestly, I was expecting to hunt her, if I'm going to be completely honest. So where I wanted to set up was right in some oaks that were actively raining acorns, hickories, walnuts all over the place. And so I decided that, the way I came in was with the wind, and I came into a spot where I had another oak tree, so I put up in a little maple in between two oaks and around a bunch of hickory. And they came in from the north. I was expecting to come in from the south, but the wind was blowing from the southwest or southeast, which is rare. And they came in right at the edge of my scent cone, so I wasn't really checking that area out. I saw her in front of me, like, oh, where did she come from? She may have been bedded right there the whole fucking day, I don't know. But she kept looking over her, looking over to the right, and I looked over to see what she was staring at, and it was, there were a couple other deer and another group coming in behind them. So I think she was trying to figure out what they were doing, and they were trying to figure out what she was doing. So I think they were going to meet up. So I took the large doe, because her current path would have taken her. It would have probably taken her right underneath me. But that was one, too close, and two, I would have gotten scent busted, and she would have took off and alerted the other group. So I didn't want to wait for the other group to come down to see what kind of choices I had with that. I mean, I wanted to, because I wanted to just witness what deer are doing. Because every time you get in the woods and you get an encounter, you learn a little bit more. You learn what you can get away with. You learn to watch their cues, their body language, and find out what they're going to do. And the only way you can really do that is by putting in the time. You can watch hunting videos, you can watch deer videos, you can watch a lot of behavioral videos and footage, but until you put yourself out there with them and become part of the influence of their reactions, you can't expect to understand it. It's an experience, and it's the only thing you can. The only way you can really gain that experience is to get your ass out in the woods. So I don't know if you can see my grocery bags back here. I got two grocery bags full of meat. I'm thinking probably close to 60 pounds of meat. Which, you think, oh, deer is, it's free meat. Oh, it is very much not free meat. I did the math a couple years ago, back when I was getting like lots of deer. I think one year I killed like 5 or 8 deer. So we were hunting this property, and everybody was using everybody's tags. I was paying people for their tags, and I had deer jerky coming out my ears. I made my first 3 deer. I made like not 100%, but any piece of that deer that could be made into jerky, I made it into jerky. And I had a buddy of mine who had killed one in Indiana. He said, I'll bring you in the backstraps, make jerky out of that. I'm like, oh, no. I'll bring you in the equivalent of the backstrap weight in my jerky, and I'll keep your backstraps. He said, that's fine. So I got some other backstraps. So, I mean, back when I bought my bow, I think I killed the first first deer I killed with my bow, my Razor X, was a little 6-pointer, 5-pointer. He was a small, like not quite a yearling. I think he was like maybe a 2-year-old, but he wasn't big body. He just had a little basket, and I was anxious because I had just put in this tree, and then I was hunting some property way out in Highland County. Oh, this was Highland County too. And then I think I killed 4 on deer. It was a weird year. They had this weird system that I killed a bunch of deer that year. I think within like 3 or 4 years, I killed like 20 deer. That's all we ate was deer. But anyway, I started doing the math, and when I was processing it myself, I kind of weighed it, and I kind of knew that out of a 150-pound deer, I'm going to get like 60 pounds of meat. I can't remember the exacts. So, price per pound, whether it be grind or backstrap or roast or jerky or whatever, price per pound was, at the time, with the expense for my bow, fuel, clothing, stands, tags, processing equipment, time. I think the first deer was like $120 a pound. Because my bow, $1,000 for my bow. At the time, my bow was I just paid $1,000 for it. 800 and something, then arrows and all that, and then $200-300, and those are expenses that you can phase out percentages based on longevity and usefulness, because those are not necessarily overhead expenses. So, if you start from zero, then yeah, the fuel and the time and everything to go into the woods, you're looking at about $4 or $5 a pound. That's what it's going to take you for deer. But it's not all at once. You don't go to your processor and say, okay, well, here is 50 pounds of deer meat. Here's $150. So because you go, I don't know. I'm trying to do the math in my head, trying to find a good example. Because my bow, I call it, it's paid for. My tree stand is paid for. It's paying for itself. It has paid for itself, and it's not like a business where you buy a truck, and the truck, you have to include the truck in your pricing for expenses, and eventually that pays for itself to the point where that is no longer an expense. It's an asset. So I consider my bow, all the arrows and stuff that I would be getting anyway. I don't know. It's difficult. So just meat with tag. Had I not killed anything this year, so far, I would be into this hunting season by my my license, which I would have gotten anyway, my deer tag, which was 29 bucks, I think, 29, 24, 30 bucks. Broadheads, you know, the one broadhead, but I had a couple of them that I had to use for practice and, you know, whatever. Those are sacrifices that you make. So tag and processing, $90 for, say, 60 pounds. I mean, that is $3 a pound plus another $100, so $6. So this year so far, my deer is up to like $6 a pound. And that's just the direct expense put in to get that yield out. Which is, I mean, that's average. That's not bad for meat. I guess I think a side of beef is close to that, where you get everything from hamburger down to the ribeye. It averages out between $6 and $9 a pound. Now, when you think, oh, a hamburger, $6 a pound, $9 a pound, yeah, but you're also getting $6 a pound ribeyes. So that, I mean, that's how averages work. Try math, it works. So the next couple weeks I am going to, you know, it's raining today and I think it's going to be raining tomorrow, so we still have to recover from my stepson's wedding. That was this weekend, and it's, yeah, we got some decompression to do. We got a lot of cleaning up and reorganizing and sorting a lot of things, because we have holidays coming up, and we just had the wedding, so all the decorations, all the preparations for that are scattered everywhere. Those resources are just blown up everywhere. I still have a couple things to tidy up, to button up on the painting the house before winter hits full stride. So, and the puppy he's 3 months and a week old now, so he's coming along. He's not a big fan of the rain. He won't go outside in the rain. Big old fucking softy. Big old wussy dog. I think it's because he doesn't understand it yet. It's not like he refuses. He just doesn't understand what's going on. He doesn't know what's happening to him. He doesn't know that it's okay. So this morning was the first time I think I've taken him out in a downpour. So let's sort that out. Let's see, what time is it? It's it's got to be close to 11 o'clock. I don't even have time to stop and get eggs to make breakfast. I got to get ready for work. I got to go to work today. That's lousy. Anyway, all right. So that's that. I might upload this one. I've recorded like every day, all the situations, the deer hunt. I got footage that morning. I don't think I got any footage of the hunt itself because everything just it happened before I expected it to happen, and that's my fault. I was conserving my, I saw the yearling and thought, oh well, maybe I'll turn on my GoPro on my bow, on my stabilizer, and get some footage of that. And that's when I looked up and saw, what she was looking for, and it all just happened real fast. And then I needed to hoof it and get down, and while I still had light, ended up still dragging her out in the middle of the dark. It's just weird. I mean, I'm a grown ass man. The weird, the woods, the dark. Just, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, kind of creeps me out once in a while. So I don't know. I know there's no boogeyman. I know there's no bobcats or coyote. I mean, there are coyotes, but there's no grizzly bear gonna come and try to fight me for my deer. There's nothing out there. No ghosts or goblins or spirits. No fucking Mothman.